I said, no running at the pool.
Thank you for calling Launch Your Classroom. This is Johnny. Do you have a question for one of our hosts?
Hey Johnny, it's Kyle. I feel terrible and I'm not gonna be able to come in right now.
Welcome to Launch Your Classroom. I'm Heather Thompson, filling in for Kyle Pope. You're coughing, sneezing, running a fever, and know that you need to rest up to recover. Or you have a really important professional development about engaging students that you're required to attend. We've all been there and will be there again. Yes, one day you, the teacher, will be absent from school. As an instructor in the classroom, your students have come to rely on you. You provide the knowledge, the materials, and even the discipline. When you miss a day, students are thrown off of their regular routines and may react in a variety of ways, some of which are negative. You're also temporarily replaced by a substitute teacher who likely doesn't have your educational expertise and certainly doesn't have the relationship that you've established with your students.
Cut! Whose phone is that?
Kyle, you should be in bed resting.
Heather, I just wanted to check in and see how things were going.
We're off to a good start. I'm just wrapping up the introduction.
Oh, I'm glad to hear it. Just make sure that you tell them about the,
Kyle, we've got this. You just work on feeling better.
You're right. Thanks, Heather.
When you're out, you can't be worrying too much about how your students or substitute is doing, so you need to make sure that you are well prepared for an absence, even a sudden one. Today on Launch Your Classroom, we're going to talk about how you can make sure that everything is in place prior to your day out so that your class can still be successful. Let's get started with some important people that you'll need to involve in your planning. When planning for an absence, you need to make sure that you're communicating with key people in your school. Let's use the holographic simulated school to take a look. Computer, run program Thompson Alpha 3. Nice, it looks so realistic. Now, as soon as you know you'll need to be away from your classroom for the day, your first contact should be with an administrator.
Hello, Principal Andres.
Hello, Kate. What can I do for you today?
Well, I have a planned professional development coming up in 2 weeks. Since I'm new to this school, I was hoping that you could help me with entering an absence and requesting a substitute teacher.
Sure. Thank you so much for giving me advance notice. What you want to do...
As the administrator of the school, principals need to be notified of your absence so they can consider any additional impacts. They are also the best resource to tell you the exact procedure to follow should you need a day off. You'll also want to inform a colleague or two, especially those who teach close to your room. Let's watch.
Hey, Tara.
Oh, hey Kate, how are you today?
I'm great. I want to tell you now that I'm going to be out next Wednesday for planned professional development. So I was hoping you could help me out and unlock the door for the substitute and also show them where I keep the substitute plans.
Sure, I'd love to help out.
Awesome, thank you so much. Would you mind also being the teacher contact in case they have any questions during the day?
Yeah, absolutely. Here, let me give you my classroom phone number.
Thank you so much.
Many substitute teachers may be unfamiliar with your school or your classroom, and they certainly won't have keys to get inside. So it's a good idea to contact your fellow teachers to make the substitute's day go smoothly. Colleagues are also a good resource for the substitute in case any issues arise that they aren't sure how to handle. The next important people you're going to want to notify are your students, and one or two of them are going to have an important role to play.
Okay, class, I will be out tomorrow, but first I want to go over a few things. I will be appointing 2 student ambassadors. Remember, our student ambassadors are responsible for helping the substitute teacher with our routines. Clarice and Arthur, do you two want to be our ambassadors?
You bet, Miss Kate.
I like helping.
Great, thanks you two. Here are your badges. And our routines to help you remember. And now we'll go back to this math topic.
Administrators and colleagues are essential when communicating absences, but students can be especially helpful. After all, they are going to be spending more time with a substitute than anyone. Make a couple of students your classroom ambassadors and give them instructions to help the substitute should they need it. And if they're elementary students, you can do something special. For example, give them badges like Kate did. Computer and programs. So next time you're going to be out, make sure you're well prepared by speaking with your administrator, a fellow teacher, and your students.
Imagine what your classroom would be without having a lesson prepared for the day. It would be chaos, right? You put all of your time and thoughts into planning the perfect lessons to help students master the content. But what about the days that you aren't at school? Whether your absence is planned or unplanned, it is important to be prepared for a substitute teacher. Even when you aren't able to be in your class for students, learning must still take place. That is why it is critical to leave behind detailed lesson plans and instructions for a substitute teacher to follow. Keep in mind that you are the master of your content area, and no one can teach it in your classroom as well as you. So, you should avoid having a substitute teacher introduce brand new curriculum or complex concepts. Instead, consider planning time and materials for review work. This will help students practice familiar content, increasing the sense of normalcy in their day. In addition to being the content expert, you are also the authority in your classroom. Your students look to you for guidance. You are the person who directs them, makes sure they're safe, and has a familiar routine in place on a daily basis. When you're not in the classroom, students are left feeling unbalanced. Without your structure in place, your students' behavior may change. Some may even take this as an opportunity to misbehave. If your substitute is left to deal with unruly behavior in a large scale, they will be unwilling to be your substitute for future absences. So, you must set up your substitute for success by keeping them informed on your policies and expectations in the classroom. The class will go on even if you aren't there. However, you can minimize the disruption of your absence and set your students up for success by making sure your substitute is well prepared with both your plans and knowledge of your routines.
Thank you, and we'll see you next time. Thank you, and we'll see you next time. Kyle, you're back. How are you feeling?
Hey Heather, I am feeling much better. I think I need just a little rest to recover.
Well, I'm happy to hear that, but I was kind of excited to do the conclusion.
Well, you know, I've been watching from home and you've been doing an amazing job, so why don't you join me for the conclusion later?
That sounds great.
A substitute teacher is a visitor. Just as you would show a visitor around to make them feel at home, you will want to take special care to show your substitute around your class, even in your absence. You can accomplish this by leaving clear, step-by-step daily plans for them to follow while you are out. You will want to have all required materials ready for your substitute. Make all necessary copies beforehand and list classroom supplies by quantity so the substitute can keep an accurate record of what is used and what is returned. Pre-arranged materials will help you return to an organized classroom.
Outline your daily lessons and activities in order with time limits. Clearly state the procedures that accompany each step of your daily lessons. If students usually collect their laptop computers in a particular order, make sure the substitute knows where to begin and where to end. Including your usual procedures in your plans will give students a sense of normalcy while you are away. Focus on clear, step-by-step methods that are simple for your substitute to carry out and easy for your students to understand.
Don't forget to provide your substitute with information about your daily schedule, even details you might take for granted. For instance, when do your students go to lunch? When does the bell ring? What duties do you have that the substitute is expected to cover? Mindful preparation of your materials, plans, and schedules before your absence is the best thing you can do for your substitute and for your students.
It's no fun being sick and missing school. But you know what? I feel completely relaxed. And here's why. Reason number one, I have this soothing hot tea and all the chicken noodle soup I'll ever need. Reason number two, I'm preparing a nice hot bubble bath to ease my aches and pains. Reason number three, I made a tub for my sub. No, not that kind of tub. It's a sub tub. It holds everything my substitute teacher will need while I'm gone. That way I can take good care of the substitute and my students while I'm here taking good care of myself.
Rub-a-dub-dub, I've got a tub? Let's see what's in here. Oh wow, this looks really organized.
You bet. That's because I put the most important resources in a neat, well-organized binder. I put the roster at the front of the binder because the substitute will need to take roll when class begins. Then I included a copy of the day's schedule. Since I have lunch duty this week, I highlighted lunchtime and wrote a reminder of when and where the duty is next to it.
Oh, it looks like I'm on lunch duty today. But they're serving pizza, so that's a win.
It is. Next, I included names of helpful students and my neighbor teachers in case the substitute needs assistance. And here we are, my very detailed, clear lesson plans.
Phew, that's exactly what I was looking for.
Oh, I know. And because I also know that some of my students will finish their tasks early, I included copies of some familiar puzzles, word games, and read-alouds for them to work on quietly.
Well, that's one less discipline problem I'll have to worry about.
I packed all the materials the substitute will need for the day or days I'm out. Copies of materials for each student, extra pencils, incidental supplies like highlighters and tape, clips to keep student work organized, and even a couple of mints.
Wow, she really did think of everything.
I did, and that's why I'm not anxious about being out of school. I can just sit back, work on feeling better, and yikes! My bath is still running. Hang on, Rubber Ducky, help is on the way!
Missing a day.
I'm sorry, you're the host.
Missing a day at school is sometimes unavoidable. Professional development opportunities, sicknesses, and emergencies do happen. And schools are understanding of acceptable absences. But if you aren't ready, this can result in confusion for your students and a bad day for your substitute.
It's important to remember that as educators, we still have a responsibility to make sure our students are learning even when we aren't there. Being prepared means creating easy-to-use substitute plans, having your materials ready well in advance, and communicating with key people before and after an absence. So we encourage you to take the time now to use our proven, effective tips and create some substitute plans. You never know when you may need them.
This month on Launch Your Classroom, we're going to continue our discussion on preparing for a substitute. We're going to provide you with a strategy for teaching when absent. Then we'll take a look at what to do once you return to the classroom. We're also going to have a wellness segment about staying healthy as a teacher. So be sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel to get all of our upcoming professional development content. Thanks for helping me out today.
Sure, I'm glad you're feeling better. Say, would you mind?
Go ahead, you've earned it.
Thank you, and we'll see you next time on Launch Your Classroom.
Cut! That's a wrap, people!
You did an amazing job hosting the show today.
It was fun. Next time you need a substitute, let me know.
I definitely will. Are you okay?
Now that you mention it, I don't feel too well.
Oh no, I'm sorry you're getting sick.
It's fine. Now I have an idea for a new wellness segment.
We'll see you next time on Launch Your Classroom. Huh, that is fun to say.